Mickey Loomis, my guy. We are here listening to WWL Radio. Mickey Loomis, the sky isn't falling at 2-2, but the Saints still have to act like it is. The sky isn't falling, no doubt, but I would say we're in that position now where we're getting hurricane supplies. We're out getting Vienna sausages. We're out getting bread. We're getting some water jugs. We're getting some batteries. We're getting some candles. We're doing all the preparation. We're boarding up the windows. We're getting sandbags. It's not falling yet, but we're real close. We got Margaret Orr on the weather station. My goodness, that's a little bit of a local drop there. If you're from New Orleans, go down in the comments below. Let's get a shout out to Margaret, the queen of the weather. Because if we go to New England, and I'm filming this on a Friday before the Patriots game, if we go to New England, ladies and gentlemen, and if we put up a 6 spot, a 3 spot, a 0 spot, a goose egg, as they say, a 9 spot, all right, little German for you there. If we score less than 21 points, I would say the sky officially is falling, because Pete Carmichael, for the last, 2 years, has had a spotlight directly on him and on this Saints offense. Mickey Loomis, the king of New Orleans, brought in Derek Carr. Everyone was happy about that, me included. We win the first game. Things are looking cool. But I say the offense is problematic. And we see some more of that in Carolina. We see some more of that in Green Bay. We see some more of that against Tampa Bay. And Pete Carmichael, every step of the way, said, it's on me. I got to fix it. He said, it's 100% on me. Don't worry, I'll fix it. Yet to fix it. 0-4 on fixing it as far as this season. So if, again, he goes up there and gets just embarrassed by Bill Belichick, which certainly could happen, the sky is falling. Because then something has to happen where either we fire our coaches, we get new people in, or we're going to have a terrible season. Because we go to New England, we go to Houston, and then we play Jacksonville on a Thursday night. We are 2-2, but we are on the razor's edge. Shout out to Razor Ramon Scott Hall. We are on the razor's edge, my friends, of being 2-5.
It's way early. 2-2.
Whoa.
You know, there's only 18 games. I get it.
Relax.
Every loss is tough.
Jesus.
And it feels to me, and that's the question, that it's really more about the way the last 2 losses have been and not just the fact that they're losses. It's kind of how they happened.
Yeah,
yes.
Look, I thought we did some really good things in the Green Bay game. We let it get away from us in the last quarter. I think there were some circumstances there out of our control, but it happened. Last game was a little different. We didn't play well. I didn't think we played well in on either side of the ball, and we made some mistakes that we just can't make and expect to beat a good football team. So we've got to get that corrected. And look, I agree the sky's not falling, and yet we also have to act like it is falling to some degree, and have.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mickey's kind of saying this without saying it, but we got to get this turned around quick. We talked about this a little bit in the offseason. Like, how long would Mickey let Dennis and Pete mess up again? You know, last year was a mistake. Last year was terrible, but you can't expect people to get fired like that. You can't expect changes to happen like that, right? So, okay, bring Dennis back, bring Pete back. You got Derek Carr, and give him a shot with Derek Carr. See what happens. But now, and we talked about this. What happens if the same problems persist over the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season? I would think Mickey's going to make something happen. Now, I don't think he's going to fire Dennis and Pete, but I think there could be certainly things in motion to where if we go 2-5, 2-6 here, and if we're the worst offense in the NFL, you got to think he's looking elsewhere. He's looking at the Eric Bieniemys of the world, the offensive coordinators out there, the head coaches that could be coming up. You know, this could be a new chapter of New Orleans football. This could be a big one. You know, because if you do part ways with this coaching staff, you're losing your DC for all intents and purposes. You're losing your OC. You're losing your head coach. That's a lot. Like, that's a huge cultural shift. If you bring in someone like Eric Bieniemy, you're giving him his first head coaching job. You're handing the keys over to an offensive genius for all, as it's what it seems like. And he's going to have his own ideas, his own culture, and his own way to run the team. You know, I mean, that's with anybody. You bring in Gruden, you bring in whoever. I mean, that's how it's going to be. So They do have to get this figured out real quick.
Have a sense of urgency about improving, paying attention to details, and otherwise we're going to find ourselves in the same boat, week after week.
What is kind of the message? Because again, week 4, 2-2. If you look over the last 9 years, the Saints have had 4 2-2 starts, and one including 2020, where you were 1 game away from the NFC Championship game. So better than 2-2 in the last 9 years, twice. Worse than 2-2 in the last 9 years, 4 times. So this is not a horrific place to be in, but
I don't know why they do this. Like every single time I do a WWL reaction, they always bring up like 10 years ago. They always bring up 15 years ago. Look, I know I do this every time they do it, but if you're going to compare 2-2 with the last 9 seasons or whatever he said, you got to compare who we played. So was it harder of a schedule or easier? You got to compare all kind of stuff. Were there injuries? What's going on? Oh, and the reason that 2-2 doesn't really matter that much back then was because we had Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Like that just I know for sure, because I remember being pissed after this game. I know for sure one of the seasons we played the Patriots, like in week 2 or week 3 in New Orleans, and Tom Brady lit us up like a Christmas tree. And I was screaming, I was saying it's over, punt the season, whatever. And I'm pretty sure that's the season that we ended up, that was like Marshawn Lattimore's first year, that whole draft class first year. And then we took off and we ended up being like one of the best teams in the NFL. But the point of that was playing Tom Brady in the first 2-3 games is way different than playing Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield. Like, I hate that. I hate when they bring up old stats because it has nothing to do with what's going on right now. Not to mention the scores. Like, what if we lost some of those? Like, what if we were 2-2, but the 2 losses are like 35-33 games? The problem right now is that we cannot move the ball. We cannot score. We do not have an offense. We do not have a scheme, and we don't have an answer. We've got nothing. And we've paid a franchise quarterback a bunch of money to come in here and be good. And we've got 2 clowns running the show in Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. That's the problem. The problem isn't the results. The problem isn't the record. The problem is this team is rudderless. All right? This team is doing nothing. And they certainly aren't scoring. And they certainly aren't getting first downs. That's the problem.
But what's the message from the building top down as it works its way through you to Dennis?
Yeah, I think the message is look, we've got to understand, we got to be realistic about what we're doing that is not allowing us to win. We got to be realistic about
everything.
It, and we have to go about making corrections. I think we all believe we have a good football team, but yet we're not playing, well. We've done some really good things, even within these games, but we've got to put that all together, and that comes from preparation during the week, and then being ready and taking advantage of the circumstances and the opportunities on the weekend. So
this is something else that I didn't mean to cut you off, Mickey.
I don't think there's panic, and yet we need to have urgency.
This is another thing I keep harping on here, and it rings true again. They are asking a guy to fix things who is currently 17-40 as a head coach. He ain't the guy to fix things. He imagine the sit-down conversation was like, hey, Dennis, I need you to kind of turn the ship around. And Dennis is probably thinking, brother, I've never turned the ship around. Like, I'm 17-40, my guy. I've never even thought about turning the ship around. I don't even know what success is. Couldn't tell you what Dennis Allen as a head coach has never. Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fact of the day. Dennis Allen has never been over 500 in a season in his head coaching tenure. Think about that. So you're asking a guy who's never been over 500, you're asking him to somehow fix the problem. He is the problem. He is a huge part of the problem. That's why this is such a bad situation. That's why, I hate to say it, but that's why it's probably going to have to lead to a change. Because at some point, they are who they are. You look at 17-40, that doesn't exactly give you the confidence it needs that he can turn it around.
That's probably an excellent way to describe it. You and Dennis both talk a lot about situational football. And if you look at this, it's just this past Sunday. I mean, it becomes, we had 3 scoring drives, 11 plays, 12 plays, 14 plays, 18 minutes of clock, but you got the 3 field goals. And they had 17 plays, 10 plays. Then they had the 2-play drive because of the fumble, but it's 14 minutes of clock. So it's kind of the worst of both worlds because you're both chewing up pretty good, solid chunks of time. You're scoring field goals, they're scoring touchdowns. I mean, that is exactly kind of what you talk about with situational football.
Are they not watching the games? Why do you think, if you watch the game and you watch all my videos, why do you think we had such long drives without doing anything with them? It's because all the plays are at the line of scrimmage. Alvin Kamara had 13 receptions for 33 yards. So when he says, oh, we had a 14-play drive end in nothing, a large portion of those plays probably went for 2 yards, 3 yards. It takes us 14 plays just to get across midfield with the way this offense operates. Oh, and he didn't mention, with us kicking field goals, it's not like we're getting stopped in the red zone. We had 2 plays in the red zone last game. So think about the drives he just rattled off that the Saints had, and they didn't even reach the red zone. That's because this offense is so conservative and so stale that we can have, I would love to see the drive charts, because I guarantee you some of those are going to say 14, 15, 16 plays, but whatever Mike Hoss was talking about there. And it's going to be like 15 plays in like a 35-yard window, which seemingly is hard to even fathom.
Yeah, I think that's been a little bit of the theme of our all 4 games this season, is we've moved the ball effectively at times, and yet we get to the red zone and we'll have a negative play, we'll have something that'll happen, a penalty, and we end up kicking a field goal. We've got to convert red zone opportunities into touchdowns, and historically we've been pretty good at that. So we've got to...
Yeah, historically we had Drew Brees and Sean Payton. We wouldn't know the red zone if it walked into the apartment and stole your shoes. Like, we aren't in the red zone. The sustained drive, success, I'm not sure what anyone's talking about. Am I the only person that's watching the games? I mean, to be like, I couldn't even imagine, honestly, I couldn't even imagine after watching the Tampa Bay game, if someone told me after that game, if someone said, man, I think our issue this game was our red zone, or just kind of our red zone offense. What? Red zone offense? My guy, we weren't in the red zone.
To get back to that, our coaches on offense, our players on offense all understand that. This is not some deep secret. We understand what needs to be done, and we're going to go about attacking that and see if we can get it corrected.
I guess that's kind of the question, is diagnosing what we just talked about, right? Maybe that's, and then addressing it. When you look at your offense or your defense, whatever you choose, the things that are fixable, better execution in the red zone. It is if it were just one thing like sacks or penalties, that's different, but it's never the same thing. So I guess there are things out there offensively and defensively that can be worked on, but that's what it is during the week.
Yeah.
This is something else that blows my mind. I've heard a lot of this. I've heard a lot of the execution thing and the that ain't it. And again, I might be on an island here, but I don't think it's getting to practice and working on the execution. I don't think it's, working on our cuts or working on our hand placement or working on our technique. I don't think that's the problem. I mean, these are professionals. These are pros. Many of them have been all pros. Like, many of these guys have been borderline, if not superstars. I don't think, again, maybe I'm wrong, but man, am I rarely wrong. I don't think the situation is on the practice field. I don't think I'm worried about, Chris Olave had 1 catch last game. I don't think we need to worry about Chris's route running. I don't think we need to worry about Chris's hands. I don't think we need to worry about Chris off the line. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue might be everything else. So if we keep throwing these buzzwords out there of red zone offense, execution, improve on the little things, stuff like that, we're never going to fix this. Those buzzwords and cliches, that isn't it.
Look, it would be much easier if it was one thing that we needed to correct.
It's two things.
And one area
Dennis
that we
Allen,
needed to correct.
Pete
but
Carmichael.
I think, each week it's been something a little different. It's not any one player, one position group, or one thing. It's been,
I agree with that.
Just a culmination of some other things. And we understand that. It gets back to, hey, do your job, do just your job and do it well, and then everything will come together. And so I think that's the message more than anything else is let's each of us do our jobs to the best of our ability, and the end result will be what we desire.
Especially when it comes to something like tackling, we kind of focused a lot on the offense. I thought that Tyrann Mathieu after the game said, and this I'm just quoting, he said we're falling back into some of the patterns where we think someone else is going to make the tackle. That's stuff that can be worked on during the week, and that's exactly.
No way. No way. Am I being punked? Is Ashton Kutcher about to pop out somewhere? Am I being bamboozled? Am I being tricked? I'm befuddled right now. No way have we scored 4 touchdowns on the season. I watched Justin Fields throw for 4 more touchdowns last night. Justin Fields in the last 2 weeks has thrown for 8 touchdowns. In the last 2 weeks, Justin Fields has doubled our entire touchdown production. I cannot believe we are averaging 15.5 points a game. I cannot believe we are one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Bottom 5. I cannot believe that. And we're sitting here with the GM on the flagship radio station, and we're talking about tackling. Raise your hand, ladies and gentlemen. How many of y'all watching this video think that our problem so far is tackling? Absolutely stunning.
Exactly what you want to avoid, but I mean, he kind of said it.
Look, I think we've played some really good defense for the most part during these 4 games. I felt like we've had a couple lapses in the last 6 quarters that have really hurt us. We've had some penalties that have really hurt us at really inopportune times over the last couple games. And so we just have to be aware of that. We have to not put ourselves in that position where we can have a critical, mistake at a critical point in time. And so, look, our players and coaches understand that. And I'm really confident they'll get that corrected.
I'm not. Mickey's in a tough spot because he can't say, I'm sure, what he's thinking. And I like Mickey Loomis. Everyone knows that. I support Mickey Loomis. I think Loomis is the man. I think he did good this offseason, bringing in the players, filling out the roster. No ill will towards Mickey. I think he's awesome. I think he's one of the best GMs in the NFL. And I understand he can't say everything on this show, but what he should be saying, I hope he's saying behind closed doors, is this is not good enough. Y'all are going to get fired. We are not bringing you back if this continues. We have to score more points. We cannot lose games like this in the division at home. These fans deserve a whole lot more. I hope those are the conversations happening, because everyone on that coaching staff needs to know this is an F- job. And I am not going to put it on the players, because the defense has played good. Carr hasn't been great, whatever. We'll see what happens. He got hurt, it is what it is. Kamara ran good, caught 13 passes. Thomas has been great. Olave has been great when given the opportunity. Rashid has been great when given the opportunity. Taysom Hill has been good when given the opportunity. I have no problem with any of the players. The offensive line's been bad, no doubt. But the offensive line was better last game. We know how good the defense is. We know how good Lattimore and DeMario Davis and all those guys are. Defensive line's been great. I'm not putting this on the players. I'm not going to listen to our problem right now is tackling. I would listen to it if we were a junior high school team. To me, it's just insane. It's crazy that could even be a possibility. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think our problem so far is tackling? Maybe I've had this wrong the entire time. Maybe it's not on Pete Carmichael, but maybe instead we just need to focus on wrapping up. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next